Elizabeth Street.
Okay. You with him? You, sir?
Hi, Bob Gissel, Gissel, 33 Parsons Avenue.
Sir?
Yes, Joe Sarisa, 6 Parsons Lane, and I'd like to be considered an interested party as long as with my wife Sherry.
Okay,
Thank you.
Peter?
Peter Thomas, 5 Parsons Lane.
Sir?
Larry RG, 7 Parsons Lane.
Behind?
Yeah, right, every one part of that.
He with you? Okay. You, sir, on the end?
Lee Spalding, 114 Prospect Hill Road.
Okay, going to the back row?
Adam McKenzie Olio, 27 Parsons Avenue.
She with you? Okay.
Tamira Martell,
Okay,
18 Elizabeth Street,
okay,
Kimberly Northern Benedict, 44 Parsons Avenue.
Work together.
okay. Okay, way in the back?
Nikki Paquette, 522 Harbor View Square. I mean, Harbor View Garden.
You too? Yep,
Don McPeters, 1 Filipino Drive.
and you with him? Okay. You, sir?
Casey Took, 16 Clyde Allen Drive.
Okay. Did I miss anybody? Nobody.
Can you just check in with who's requesting interested?
Okay, we have 2 other individuals here, Bluen. Are they on the screen? We have John and Lynn Bluen, whom I'm assuming she was not gonna be able to do, okay.
We can still accept them.
Yeah, we can still accept them and send them whatever. We'll still take them on as an interested party status. And this individual on the screen, both of them individuals on the screen, 3 individuals on the screen.
Ed Leahy, 8 Parsons Lane.
Okay,
Can all the interested parties, please turn your cameras on, just so it's a little easier for us all to see, please?
good. There's Shannon. Well, how about the lady up in the corner there? We don't,
You're talking to me?
well,
The one waving?
there's one, yeah, the one waving.
Kathy Hansen, 49 Parsons Avenue.
Okay, Shannon? Shannon, your address? No? You gotta add-
I'm at 4 Elizabeth Street.
Okay. And how about, is there a Gary King on? How about that lady in the bottom corner there? I can't seem to. Or is that Shannon? I can't tell.
I'm in the top corner, but Aubrey Bovat, 11 Elizabeth.
Okay. Oh, you're in the bottom corner on ours.
Top corner on mine.
How about a Gary King?
Gary King, are you requesting interested party status?
Well, I guess I'll move on.
Can we hear?
Oh,
Hello?
Hello, are you requesting interested party status, Gary King?
Yeah, 20 Elizabeth Street.
Can I get you to turn on your camera, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. We're new to this.
That's okay, you're doing great.
all right. I would entertain a motion to.
I'm sorry. So sorry. I don't think all of them are requesting interested party status.
Yeah.
Is anyone not requesting interested party status? McPeters, you're not.
You're
I
not.
assume you're not.
Just-
Everyone else would like interested party status? Great.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to grant interested party status to those individuals.
So moved.
All in favor of that motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You've been granted interested party status. Applicants, you gonna hide back there? You wanna come up here?
Come up there.
And you have all the information you need on these three individuals. Mike, would you swear in the applicants and the interested parties?
Do you hereby swear that the evidence you give in the cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do. I do.
Everybody?
Everybody, all at one time? Yeah, I do.
All
Thank
for
you.
one and one for all.
That's it.
Okay. Well, why don't we start out with you telling us what it is that we need to know that we haven't seen, or this is all new application, probably better start from scratch.
Do a little overview or?
Yes, please.
So we had a stormwater design from the old application, but since this is a brand new application, we're starting right from scratch. So we utilized the same stormwater design, and there's a little bit less impervious just to be conservative. The road layout, entryway wise, we had a building right at the entryway that we were going to shine lights into that I didn't like. And so you don't see that on this plan, but there's a lot of things that we thought through. We wanted to come to an intersection to control traffic, just to make sure that people can slow down, stop at a stop sign, stuff like that. We went from 80 units. This was 56 units instead of 10 plexes. These are all fourplex units that we show, just so we're, compliant with the regulations. So we're not asking for any basically conditional use. And that's really it. We show some rec areas, gazebo, stuff like that. And, we're basically kind of have to take down the site a little bit, as you can see from the grading, because I don't want step foundations. So we're going to have full foundations. So people have room in their basements. We're going to have garages. They're going to be 2-story units. Those are the sort of outlying things that we've changed based on conversations from the initial application.
Do you have a estimated height of these structures?
So they're 2-story. So, usually it's probably 10, 10, 8, something like that, right? Probably 28. 30, do you have that number?
It'll probably match the same height as all the surrounding homes. We're not doing 12-foot ceilings or anything.
Well, what's the dimensions of one of these buildings?
80 by
38.
80 by 38. So you got 2 9-foot floors with floor joists, correct?
Yeah. So 10, 10 and 8 probably. Yeah.
6-12 pitch, 5-12 pitch,
I think it's 5-12 pitch.
5-12 pitch, so in 14 feet. Going up 5 inches, 70 inches, call it 6 feet.
Yeah, probably 26 or so. 26, 28. Yep.
24, 26 feet high.
Yeah. I think the standard,
Oh,
somewhere we read
the
30.
Foundation sticks out of the ground, so you probably got 20. All right. We had you do a fairly extensive traffic study for this application. According to your traffic engineer, wasn't warranted. You didn't feel the need to have him here to explain what he had to say.
I talked to him. I can speak on his behalf. I know a fair amount about traffic, but just because it was sort of the condition that we were in from the initial, I wanted to hire it out to Corey. Corey's a great engineer, did a 50-page report. The findings basically speak for themselves. The PM peak trips are pretty low. You know, basically it says right in the report, if we were a state project tying into our state highway, 75 PM peak trips is the standard that we kind of look at as a major project. You know, we're well below that, not even half. And so, you know, his findings are very extensive. We don't need warrants for left turn lane, right turn lanes. I mean, the report's 50 pages. We submitted it. If you have any specific questions, I can try to answer it. And if I can't answer it, we'll write it down and we will get an answer. So I think the traffic report, we did it because we were asked to do it. On something like this, 56 units, you know, I think it was recited in the application, and looking for the number now. I want to say it was 30, but I want to get the correct number. It's on page 27 AM, 32 PM trips. So 32 is pretty well, you know, basically it's less than half the 75 that would really kind of merit a study, but we didn't want to be combative, so we did the study.
And you did this study, I recall driving over a few things on Fairfax Street, counting cars, that type of.
Well, the continuous traffic counter and the information that he provides, he has all kinds of toys that we don't have also. So that's why we kind of let him do it. And he's done a lot of them for us, and it's very expensive, but it's something that was a necessity we felt, so we had him do it.
And nothing in that study that you think we want to.
Well, the biggest thing that I look at is sort of like dispersion. Like when you look at leaving the site, obviously take a left, you go towards 7, take a right, and then, you know, a bunch of different forks open up, different directions you can go. And then you go to Fairfax Street and you can still go take a left and go to 7, take a right, you know, go toward Pearly Collins. I mean, we can look at an aerial. We could put up an aerial on the screen if you want, if that would be better, but I mean, everybody in here knows the area, so I'm happy to do whatever the board would like us to do.
And this study indicated that,
Hey, Brian, you want to just, man,
do I need to speak into this thing?
I think you should.
And this study indicated that none of the intersections there would fall below a LOS of B. Is that?
Yeah.
That what you?
Yeah, I mean, if there was intersections that had a really high level of service, then I probably would have called them and we would have had a discussion about it. But the report overall basically indicates what we thought it was going to. So there was no surprises on our part when we reviewed it. So we just submitted it, and I mean, it is pretty lengthy. It takes a long time to digest stuff like that. I mean, people that look at them every day, I mean, you can gather all the information that's really pertinent very quickly, but you know, somebody that doesn't know that much about traffic, I mean, you could spend 3 hours looking at that thing. So it's one of those things.
That study, please summarize it, please not just jargon, again, you explain that, detail, and how you came to the.
We're gonna have the interested parties have a chance to ask questions after, so if you want to just hold that just for the procedure.
Why don't you, do you have this in front of you?
I do not.
Why don't you read this summary
Okay.
for nobody there have a copy of that?
I just thought everybody took a look at it. Sorry, I didn't have this. The Alton's Landing residential development proposed to construct 56 residential dwelling units consisting of attached townhouses style housing units. The proposed project is expected to generate 27 new external vehicle trip ends in the AM peak hour of adjacent street traffic, 32 new external vehicle trip ends in the PM peak hour of adjacent street traffic, and 404 new external vehicle trips over the course of an average weekday. V-Trans guidelines specify that traffic studies can be considered if the proposed development will generate 75 or more new peak hour trips. This project does not meet that threshold. The observed weekday peak hour volumes along Fairfax Street has a day-to-day variation of 47 vehicles per hour. This daily variation in peak hour volume is substantially greater than the expected trip generation, indicating that the proposed project will not be noticeable on Fairfax Street. Parsons Avenue is a local road serving the adjacent residential street transportation needs. The observed weekday peak hour traffic volume along Parsons Avenue has a day-to-day variation of 14 vehicles per hour. With a minimal existing traffic along Parsons Avenue, the site-generated traffic is expected to exceed the observed daily peak hour variation in traffic volume, but is well within what the road can carry. Methods: developed an estimated traffic analysis sensitivity model. Sensitivity analysis indicate the average control delay for any movement or lane group is not expected to increase by more than 1 second between the no build and build scenarios. All movements and lane groups are expected to operate at a level of service B or better in all scenarios. The maximum volume to capacity ratio for any movement was 0.04. The existing and proposed intersections are expected to continue to operate acceptably in the 2020 and the 2032 peak hour build scenarios. Neither a left turn lane nor a right turn lane is recommended into Parsons Avenue from Fairfax Street. The project likely be assessed transportation impact fees through the town of St. Albans Facilities and Equipment Impact Ordinance. The total impact fee is initially estimated at $165,923.52. In Act 145, statewide transportation impact fee may be assessed if the project requires an Act 250 land use permit. No off-site roadway mitigation is recommended. As the site plans developed, the site design team should avoid low-growing shrubs, planting signs, or other features that may impact sight lines at the stop-controlled intersections within the site and at the driveway intersections with Parsons Avenue. Based on the analysis conducted for the report, the proposed project is not expected to impact the condition or capacity of the affected roads and associated infrastructure. The proposed project will not cause or exacerbate any unreasonable congestion or unsafe conditions at the local roadway network and will not unnecessarily or unreasonably endanger the public's investment in any local roads, highways, or related infrastructure.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so moving on, you have this project broken down into some style phasing, and I don't know where.
So the phasing is really, we're just trying to stay under 2 acres to be a low risk project. And also as far as environmental concerns goes, we feel like that's the best way to, minimize, any kind of issues that we may have, knowing that, we know there's heavy soils. As an example, Harbor View is a 5 acre minimum or 5 acre maximum when we went to build it. But then you're toying with the state between low risk and moderate risk. And we can talk about that with the board, whatever you want to know, but effectively what's important is if you stay under 2 acres, you're a low risk project and there's really a lot less likelihood that you're going to have erosion issues and stuff like that.
So then I'm hearing that it's not your intent to go in there and build both stormwater.
No, we want to build the entry feature first and then maybe a building or two and then construct all the swales and then keep it to 2 acres. Once everything is established and grassed up and the storm system's been established and vegetated, then we'll come in, build more road and more units.
So you would build all the swales leading to that entry pond?
Correct.
So that would be the swale down the west side of the property?
Within the phase, correct?
Yes.
Within the phase, not going outside first and second phase.
So the blue area would be phase 1. It's It's the biggest area. It's 1.99 acres. It's 2 acres. We're going to build a storm entry feature. If you look on the last page of the plans, that's it's sheet 11. So we're going to build a berm on the property line side and some trees because we were told that's what people want. And we'll build the entry feature, the stormwater system, and then a couple of units. The area in the pink, actually, that could be phase 2. And the phase 2, all those swales would head, easterly. So that would be phase 2. We could build the green section, which would kind of flow into phase 1, but I wanted to build the storm systems first. So we would build the entry feature and the road first, and then the pink that's shown sort of plan right, second would be the intention. That way we get everything established and working properly, and then we add more impervious to it, and then it can kind of grow, stability wise is the intent of those plans.
Well, I'm just a little concerned that you have a swale in phase 2 going to the second pond.
I was gonna show like temporary grading, but because we have all the green that's gonna go towards the pond, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a temporary swale that's gonna basically take the back of that building into the first system temporarily. And then when we do the next phase, we'll route it like it's shown on the plan. So the building that's closest to that pink area, we'll basically do a little bit of regrading right there by the unit, so that make sure that it, in the back of the unit, so it goes to that storm system temporarily. Because it's going to be way over designed because we're only building the blue section, and the green section is obviously going to go to it eventually.
Correct. So I was just concerned about runoff from your blue building on the whatever side that is. That's the west side, so that would be the north side to catch whatever runoff comes off that first.
I mean, that's a good observation. I actually looked at that, and we were trying to get the plans in, but we didn't have time to show temporary grading for that particular thing because this is sheet 11, it's the last sheet for phasing. But the other thing I was thinking is we could be a moderate risk project and open up a lot more area and probably get 4 buildings in. But I think it's better if we limit our area of disturbance and then get the pond established and the gravel wetland established. I think that's better. So that's why we chose to do it this way.
These buildings that you're going to, are you stick building these?
Stick build.
Or are you going to panelize them or
They will,
or modular?
it's either going to be panels or stick building. It will not be modular.
Anybody else on the board have any questions?
I guess just the timeline of the whole project, what are you looking at for that? You have the different phases, but what is the
Well,
overall?
we're hoping to get everything done within 3.5, maybe 4 years.
Starting fall of 2026.
Hopefully starting late summer, early fall.
But that would depend a lot on sales, would it not?
It would, and it also depends on contractors.
I mean, if you build them and they don't sell, you're not gonna go ahead and build another.
Correct, but I definitely don't want to be out there disturbing the area for the next 10 years or doing one building a year. The hope is for 3 or 4 years. And I mean, as it progresses, we'll adjust accordingly. It won't be any quicker than 3.5 years. Like you said, maybe longer.
I mean, I think we gave an estimate for Harbor View, and I mean, we're going to exceed that by 10 or 15 years, but it's market demand. That's the real answer, just like you said, Brent.
Any other questions so far from the board?
Okay. I had a question about screening, screening.
Yep.
You're only showing it on the west side?
Yes.
All right. Was there screening you weren't proposing anywhere else?
We didn't provide an ortho base plan, but if we look at the ortho, the harbor view side is very well vegetated, and we have the big berm when we built the pond. So we thought the existing vegetation and the fact that we're going to lower the grade 9 feet there would not necessitate putting vegetation on that side. We're also lowering the grade pretty considerably because I don't want step foundations. That's the sole reason why we're having to do so much earthwork on this site. Like, I think step foundations are a problem. They cost a lot more money and they're just not as appealing. And the simplicity of a flat foundation and accommodating the grading to such is just a better solution.
I would seriously consider some type of vegetative screening on that north end up against that neighboring lot for sure.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, we can definitely accommodate that. And I mean, we're open to, we'd be willing to talk to the board or through the people, but if you wanted to do like a berm or something like that, we'd be open to that.
Well, I mean, pretty substantial berm that would create.
Well, I mean,
Screening.
we want to keep stormwater on our site, so we're digging a swale, but we could take the spoils from said swale and build a berm on the other side too, so that kind of thing. But we can definitely do vegetation. We could do cedars, we could, whatever, we're open to. You're right, we didn't really look at that because they're facing the backs of buildings now, specifically done, and so there's grading and a fair amount of green space between, that property and our project.
In this first phase, would it be your intent to pave that first hunk of road with at least an initial coat,
Yeah, just the first layer.
the base coat?
Yeah, top will be done. We'll top it out after we finish the entire project.
And most of the drainage, I mean, you've got your swales going to your ponds, but you also got significant amount of underground manhole type drainage here.
Yeah.
Also running through your 2 ponds.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to keep this one different than Harbor View. Not that I like curbed roads. We could get in a long topic, but environmentally wise, I think open without curbed roads, it's going to be a better performer environmentally wise, no doubt. You're going to have a lot less of a peak runoff. And then you're going to have, even though it's going to be little, you're going to get some infiltration on those soils, overland flow, and then directed to basins and swales towards the system. Generally get less runoff than curbed roads. I mean, I think that's pretty widely known, but it's just a different appearance.
Other questions from the board on any of that?
What are you proposing for lighting? I don't see any lighting.
Well, we didn't propose any lighting, and the reason that is frankly, I hate lit intersections, but Harbor View was kind of my project as relative to this, and I think we showed lights, and I think it was decided that people didn't want them. People have like a light in their yard and a light, on their front porch, and I feel like that's a lot nicer, kind of a home feel. But if you want a pole at the intersection, at the 2 intersections, we don't have any problem with that.
There weren't a whole lot of light poles on Parsons Ave, so we weren't adding light poles because the big issue last meeting was everybody said it didn't match the community. So whacking up, 8, 10 light poles, I imagine they'd be irate.
So, but fronts of the building, some down shielded lighting of,
Yeah, nothing major. No huge major halogen spotlights or anything like that. Just your standard residential light over the garage, the light on the side of the entryway that you have, just standard residential lighting. In fact, we just finished a duplex, and it's kind of the same style of lighting that we're going to be doing. And the neighbors actually came from across the street and thanked us because she said her husband had insomnia or narcolepsy or something, and she was so appreciative that we didn't have some big projecting spotlight that shines in their windows.
I mean, the other thing too is we specifically did like an internally, circular road and everything faces in. And so we're just trying to limit any impact to the neighbors. Everything will face in, and then we might have a little yard on the back porch or whatever, but everything's going to be down shielded and we're nowhere near the property lines. I mean, later on, I don't know if we're going to go through the staff report with a fine tooth comb, but it should be noted that 25 feet's the minimum, and we elected to go 50-foot perimeter buffer. There's a 25 and a 50-foot line, and we're honoring that all the way around.
And you're proposing utilizing municipal water and wastewater. However, we haven't received anything from St. Albans City, a plan.
So we started the correspondence with Marty Manahan in October, and I followed up in September, I think. And then we just emailed him again, and I talked to him, but we don't have anything formal because at first we were going to ask for 80, and now we're asking for 56. But the correspondence from Marty Manahan says that there's no issues with water and sewer allocation. And I forwarded that email to AJ today, just so they'd have it for the record that we reached out.
And how many bedrooms are going to be in each unit?
These are 2-bedroom units.
well, that's what you got.
Yeah.
Does it show that it's a 2-bedroom? Oh, they don't show the.
So the calculations for water and sewer are 210 for wastewater and 280 gallons per day for water supply. And we provide those calculations to Marty because they seem to, way back, he was going to look at his system to make sure you guys weren't going to have any problems. And I actually offered my assistance to the town of St. Albans if they wanted me to look at it, anything downstream, because it looks like a very large number, but obviously much smaller than Harborview because Harborview is 4 times bigger. But essentially, when you look at the numbers, you're talking a very small fraction. We're talking numbers like the pipe can handle 750 gallons per minute or something like that. And, we're asking for like 21. So, I mean, that's the figures. I don't know if you really want to get into this really in great detail, but the answer to the question is we're going to work with Marty Manahan in the town of St. Albans to make sure that you don't have any problems downstream. He effectively told us there was no issues, but he wants to look at his system downstream to make sure that there's no issues. And I agree with him.
So. Okay. I believe you had the wetlands person on site there since our last meeting. No,
No.
I know we have a letter there. I guess that was provided after the last meeting. Maybe.
So I don't know if I can summarize this quickly, but this project was looked at by Errol Briggs in 2017. And Errol came out of retirement for us because I consider him the utmost expert. And so I wanted him to walk the site with whoever the wetland person was at the state. And that person is Crystal Sewell. And Errol walked it with her and myself because he had torn Achilles, and I actually drove him around the site that day. And basically it was determined that the maps show like a little wetland where the cow pond is. But my conversation with Errol And I actually spoke with Errol Briggs this morning at his house, and his recollection is that the cow pond is a man-made feature and it's not a wetland. If you look at the A&R maps, it doesn't show any of the wetlands that are shown on this plan on the eastern side. But we know there's wetlands because we had them verified in 2024, and those delineations are good for 5 years. So I didn't want to bother Crystal initially because we modified the project, but my intention was to follow up because the next steps after this is to go through and get all the state permitting. So I reached out today and I was hopeful that she'd call me back just to confirm. But I think it's a formality that we'll just get that concurrence back, but we don't have it verbal yet and or written. But like I said, delineation is good for 5 years, and we had it done we had it done in 2017. It didn't indicate the cow pond was a wetland. We sent that to the town today. But that was just formality because you have to have it looked at every 5 years. So we had it looked at again in 2024 with Errol Briggs and Crystal Sewell from the state of Vermont.
I'm looking at an email here that was sent to AJ. It reflects the conversation that Megan had with Miss Crystal. And she says that it appears the cow pond might meet the thresholds, be considered a wetland in the area would require further on-site review in the spring.
Well, I would have loved to talk to her so I could tell you more about it, but my recollection, like I said, I was kind of not sure, which is why I called Errol this morning, and Errol felt very comfortable that we had vetted and went around the whole thing counterclockwise. He made a point to tell me that he recalled that. And I remember walking around with him counterclockwise and driving around with Crystal, and we thought it was a man-made feature and there was no wetlands associated with it. But if the state decides for whatever reason that now it does, then that's something we'll have to look at. You know what? It's funny that he actually said that to me because I was like, I have no idea why we did it that way, but that is how we did it. And when he said it to me this morning, I was like, you know what? You are pretty insightful to remember that. So, I mean, Errol, I don't know how old Errol is, but he is a walking encyclopedia of information.
Dumpster pad, if you've got like what, three showing there, are those,
What was the first part you said, Brent?
dumpster pads?
Dumpster pads, yeah.
Spence?
Yeah. Yes.
For the last meeting, you guys asked for it, so that's what we're giving, yes. They'll be enclosed.
I mean, the one at the first intersection is the largest simply because I feel like, if you forget, you might stop and, on the way out or in or something. So we try to make that the largest. Also, the most accommodating for the truck is you got a direct route straight in and then turn around, go back out. I mean, I don't think the truck's going to want to back down that whole alleyway. So he might decide that he's going to go around the loop, but we felt like that was the most strategic location. And then we put some overflow parking next to it just to the south.
Community rec area, what's that? Is that a building?
So the structure to the right of it is going to be a little gazebo. The rec area, we haven't decided yet what it's going to be. We've just designated it as rec area. It will be rec area. We're just not sure what we're doing
Playground.
there. Probably not a playground, maybe more some type of possible sports court, something like that.
Since you added garages to these structures, I see there's a few areas of overflow parking. But the intent is that the cars would be in the driveways to the.
Yeah, one in the driveway and one in the garage. That's why I told Jake, like, we should make sure that we got full foundations, because otherwise, people will fill up their garages full of junk, and then, that's what everybody does. Typical Vermonters say, you're not a true Vermonter unless you can't park in the garage. I disagree. I will throw stuff out because I'm parking in the garage at my house. But that's another reason why I stress to Jake that I think it's very important that we provide foundations so people have room to put their stuff in their basement that they don't need. But so I specifically increased the driveways because I want them to have 9-foot doors. I told Jacob, I can't stand 8-foot doors. Just don't do it. So 10.
That way they're more accessible, as opposed to trying to squeeze a car in an 8-foot door.
Know all about it.
Me too.
You got to pick up truck. It's criminal. You got to bend your mirrors in. Yeah, we don't want to bend the mirrors in. I don't. I want it to be nice.
Gravel, wetland, all that. Is that a tier 2?
Yeah, it's a tier 2.
Right.
I hate to say this publicly, but I really don't like them. But we've done a ton of them, and you can't do a tier 3 like Harborview anymore. I mean, you can't do it.
Usually dump, correct?
Well,
In a storm, they'll fill, but
they disperse. I mean, essentially it's water in is water out. It's moved through the stone, and the design premise is to put water into the stone and move it through, and you're supposed to get better treatment in a wet system. And then if you have a really big storm, it basically floats on the top of the heavy soils, and then it's controlled by the outlet structure. I can show you a picture that I got today. We're putting one in right now, and they couldn't build that thing in April. So I told them, you better build it in January because you got no chance.
doesn't sound like it's gonna work very good.
I'm not a big fan, but they do work pretty well.
Gotta build it.
I think treatment wise, I'm just not on board with what the state thinks the treatment volumes are, but they say they're way better than tier 3. And frankly, we got no choice because we got to do tier 2 to get a state stormwater permit. And that's really what we provide to all the towns, like documentation that we have said permit. Otherwise, you can't build a project.
Where are we on these stormwater permits? Have they been applied for, or was?
No, we have not applied. No, we're at step 1 again.
Questions from the board? AJ, anything?
Not currently.
All right then, I think we'll open it up for some comments from our interested party. How about you right in front? No comments.
I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Maybe I missed it, but,
Get them to microphone, the name.
Paul Banks.
I'm just curious, everybody's gonna be able to hear you, that's all.
Oh, everyone hear me?
Can everybody hear it?
We have people.
I think I'm allowed.
Oh,
So,
maybe we ought to have you,
I'd like that, but yeah.
why don't you slide that mic to the corner of the table? Why don't you come up and talk right into that?
Thanks. Okay, so maybe I missed it, but have you figured out the cost per square foot for the units?
I have no
I don't
idea,
know
but
how you-
Jacob probably does. He came up with a budget number.
We have a rough estimate for cost. How does that pertain to my site plan application?
Well, I'm just curious, have
Well-
you figured out what the price of the units are gonna cost?
That has nothing to do with site plan
Okay.
application. If we could keep it to the site plan application, that'd be terrific. Thank you.
Did you guys say that you have a full foundation?
Full foundations, basements, yes.
With a basement, right?
Yes,
basement.
basements, full
Okay, yeah.
basements.
Okay, and the sewer and water permits will be in before anything's approved? Okay. I'm concerned about the traffic well. I don't understand if, with the potential for having 112 cars, you're only getting 32 extra trips on like Parsons Ave.
112, but
Well, 56 units times 2 is 112 potential
That's,
cars.
that's not the way that works. And to be honest, I'm not a traffic engineer.
That put out 404 trips per day.
404.
400.
Which is not a big red flag.
So that, will that increase the flow on Fairfax Street and Parsons?
It'll increase the flow on any of the arteries there somewhat. Assuming they don't all go the same way.
Okay. Well, I was concerned about that. You said the timeline is 3.5 to 4 years?
Hopefully.
Okay. Have the police and fire reports been sent in yet?
They have,
They have, okay.
they have no issues for whatever reason.
Okay, has there been an impact study on the effect on the schools in St. Albans?
We reached out to the school several times. They didn't return our calls. I'm assuming it's not a big concern for them. If it was, I would assume that they would reach back out or they would be attending this meeting.
School capacity seems to be a hidden number these days.
Seems to be a big, especially with taxes.
I think what you're finding is a particular square foot school does not have the same capacity today that it had 15 years ago.
And the good news is, I think we were raising taxes another 12 or 13% for education. So that money will go right there.
Can I ask, how big total is the square footage of each unit? Do you know, counting the?
I think they're 1,156, 1,200 square feet, not including basements.
Garage included in that number?
Garage is included.
That cuts out a big chunk. And did I hear you say that the pond is still being considered as a wetland, or is that a point of conjecture?
The initial study seemed to think it was not an issue because it had been man-made back at some particular point in time. But at this time, it's somewhat up in the air whether it is.
Okay, but that will be investigated more?
I think so.
Okay. I guess that's it then. Thank you.
Okay. Who else would like to come up and sit in that chair? Yes, go ahead. I got her first.
So just a couple of things.
Name?
Kimberly Benedict.
Okay.
The traffic study, I think aside from the flow of traffic, has anyone been up to take a look at Parsons Avenue? There were several places on there where it's not 20 feet wide. In fact, the entrance to Route 7 is 19 foot 2 inches curb to curb. And we're talking about 3 to 4 years of bringing heavy equipment and loaded dump trucks that will probably exceed the 24,000 pound limit on that road. Are there any concerns to that at all?
I think weight's only limited in the winter time, correct?
A condition on this development, should it be approved, would be that they would have to.
Could you speak up?
Speak into the microphone.
A condition of this application, should it be approved, would be that they repair any damage that should occur to a road.
So,
Which is the same in any development here in the town.
and also we were talking about the stormwater and how this tier 2 seems to run through. This is the side that they're building on. This is next to that house. This is where the culvert comes through. This is where it comes through on the other side into a neighbor's yard. So my concern is, we're taking this surfaces and we're making it so that it doesn't absorb the water. We're sending it down through. Is this gonna, these poor people over here, this little culvert that goes under the road opens right into their yard.
So our intention, not to interrupt you, Brent, sure.
I think you misunderstand how this structure works.
Well, I see where theirs comes down through, if this one has it on it.
Well, it does not run through. It ponds.
It ponds, but then it seeps down through.
And
they've
then,
got
then
a-
it will seep, and it might take it a week or 10 days for all that water.
But
to
doesn't
come
it
out.
have a pipe that comes
It
out of
does.
that and it leads
And
back
if
to
it,
that
and if it
direction?
should rain so hard that that structure fills up, then it runs into that structure and out.
So we don't have any concern for these people's yards across the street. Okay,
Do we have those individuals here?
I'm not sure. I don't believe so. Let me see. And as far as your cow pond, my mother actually sold the land to Elton Lombard. It was
Okay.
previously owned by Betty Roy.
Yeah.
She had a farm there.
Yeah,
Betty Roy had a 3/4 inch pipe from that pond that serviced her farm animals 24/7 the entire time she was there. I don't know what happened to that pipe, but I was told my parents were going to come down. They're in their 80s now, Mike Williamson and Elaine Williamson. But they swear that it's not a cow pond and that you dig it, it's going to fill back up. So that probably should take a look at that.
so that's something they dug to water their animals in, more or less.
I don't know if it was a spring or if it was dug up, but
I mean, it's pretty recognizable from the plan, but we left a big open area there because if we should decide at construction that there is concerns, we're purposely not putting in a building there so that we can make some any necessary adjustments. We found drainage tile on Harbor View everywhere, and we dealt with it, and the project is fine. That's why these large storm systems have to go in, because during Hurricane Irene in 2011, I saw what I thought was going to be big problems at Harbor View, and it wasn't, because we designed to a standard that was acceptable even for very large events. And, that's something similar, just a different type of system that we have to do for this project.
What is the max on those ponds? Is that a 50-year storm, a 100-year storm?
So if you have 10 acres of impervious or more, you're required to do 100-year, which is why I think that pond at Harbor View is like how it is, but that's a tier 3. But if you have less than 10 acres, which we have a couple here, it's on the sheet. I don't have the number, but I think it's like 3 or less. It's definitely 3 acres or less. Then you have to design to the 1 year and the 10-year standard, which is 3.2 inches, which we haven't seen since Irene. 100-year is like 5.2, but it depends on where you are now. But effectively, it's 2.1, 3.2, and 5.2 inches in a day.
and in regards to the road itself, St. Albans Town Municipal Code, Chapter 3 from 2023, when the purpose was to make roads safe, yada, yada. 7.1 said road width requirements, travel portions shall be 22 feet. So is that something that when if the road needs to be repaired, will it be brought to that 22 feet?
I guess if that applies to new construction, basically. Any new roads built in the town of St. Albans, if and they want the municipality to take over and plow the roads, would have to be built to that standard.
But not if it's repaired, it stays as is.
If it's an
repaired.
existing road, I can't
Okay.
say for sure. I don't believe.
All right, I guess my only other concern, and I see that you have your traffic study and you can put in all the data you want to on a piece of paper, but I live on that street. I know what goes on that street. I know the kids on their scooters. I know old people that walk their dogs. We have no sidewalks. We have a narrow road, and you're doubling the population of Parsons Avenue, Elizabeth Street, and Parsons Lane. There is going to be it's going to change significantly no matter what your traffic study says. So I'm just putting that out there, that's as a citizen of that street, that I'm concerned.
Noted. Sir? Did you, don't we have an email from you Yes, do we have an email from you?
Yes.
So are you going to?
I'm just gonna go over and just highlight a couple of things.
Okay. Gissel, right?
Correct. A couple of things, I had comments on the application. There were blanks and unknowns. Some are being answered tonight. I really wish that we could have gotten these answers so I could have made some more germane comments, I guess. The square footage of the impervious surface is blank. I don't know why there's blanks on on an application, but it's not in there. And I guess I do have a concern about that because the water will be going across my property. You know, and I have a concern that the retention ponds are big enough to retain it. You know, page 2 of the application, it says the bylaws call for structure information, including elevation and floor plans. They're not included. I don't see floor plans anywhere. Page 3. At the time, hearing something tonight, but the period of time which all site improvements will be completed. Also on page 3, cost estimate of all improvements broken down by type, landscaping, utilities, roads, etc. It's hard to come up with a cost for a unit when you don't.
It's
know
not the cost of the unit, it's the cost of the infrastructure.
Okay.
That's why it says roadways.
Right, but
It's not units.
But it
You
says-
don't need unit cost for a site plan.
but it says, it does call for a cost estimate and they.
Cost
it's not
estimate of
there.
infrastructure.
Reason that is in there. This board requires a cost estimate of the infrastructure because often we'll obtain a letter of credit from the applicant
Okay.
to handle finishing up that infrastructure should for some reason they don't do it.
Okay. Thank you. As far as traffic, I've walked this neighborhood for over 2 decades. I mean, anybody around here knows me. I'm the guy with the Rottweiler. I think most of the traffic's gonna go down towards Fairfax Street, up to 104 to the interstate, or continue along 104 to the town growth center and also down by, you know, where Walmart is and Hannaford's. In the town plan, you know, town plan does talk about reducing traffic. This is obviously going to increase traffic. The town plan also talks about Fairfax Street near Parsons and Fairfax Street near Thorpe Ave being problem intersections. They already are problem intersections. 40 years ago, I lived on Fairfax Street. When the complex was being built, I had party status for traffic. There was a problem back then, 40 years ago, and we just keep dumping more traffic on there. You know, I don't think I have to say, I'm not going to tell you folks what your, what's in the town plan and the board regulations. The traffic study, I have a couple of issues with. The study references the Institute of Transportation Engineers, ITE 11th edition. There is a 12th edition. I think that the information being used should be the latest. We should use the 12th edition, which, quote, represents a major update, unquote, according to the ITE website. Also, key enhancements include stronger integration with trip generation handbook, and that's the ITE recommended practice. The most, like I said, the most up-to-date information should be used. Most of the traffic, like I said, will go down 104, you know, heads towards 104. The applicant's given an estimated an estimate of additional traffic generated. The question is, what is it being added to? Parsons Ave and Fairfax Street are narrow roads with little room for pedestrians and bicycles. You go down Parsons Ave, you take a right on Fairfax, there's K-rail, guardrail on each side. 2 cars and a pedestrian can't pass. And that's the main way that kids are going up to the complex, if they're walking or they have a bicycle. Page 3 says the project will generate 404 weekday trips per day. Problem I have is table 3 on page 9 refers to data collection sites and dates. One counter is on Parsons Ave, halfway between Main Street and Parsons Lane. Another is on Main Street between Parsons and Orchard. The third is on Fairfax at Holy Cross Cemetery, halfway between Main Street and Parsons Avenue. For table 3 on page 9, the Parsons Ave unit collected data from Tuesday, August 2nd, 2016 to Tuesday, August 9th, 2016. This is in the middle of summer when schools are not in session and people are on vacation. The Fairfax Street counter has some serious data issues. It collected data from Friday, September 2nd, 2016 to Thursday, September 9th, 2016. Most notably, the collection dates are over the Labor Day holiday weekend. Schools are closed, people are away on vacation, and the industrial park is shut down. These figures, they're unreliable. I mean, I know they're V-Trans figures, but they were taken during the major holiday weekend. Another problem is these counters don't show the portion of Fairfax Street from Parsons to 104. That section includes feeder streets of Thorpe Ave Extension, which includes Sunset Terrace, Bradley Court, Twin Court, Tanglewood, and there's even more. Doesn't show Clyde Allen Drive. Doesn't show the 3 apartment buildings on Victoria Lane and the Collins Prairie Sports Complex, all dump into that portion of Fairfax Street. The V-Trans, that number came to 2809 for the week. V-Trans 2024 average annual daily trip report shows a different story. That report shows traffic on Vermont 104, 4,554 daily trips on the section from Fairfield Town Line to Fairfax Street in that section. The next section from Fairfax to the St. Albans State Highway, or the Interstate Access Road, shows 8,125. The only way those extra cars come in is Fairfax Street. And, you know, that's over 3,500 cars a day coming into that area. On page 10 of the study, there is a statement. No other developments were identified that may add traffic through the study intersections during peak hours. There's an 80-unit development that was just proposed here last month, up on Prospect Hill Road. This will most assuredly have an impact on these traffic figures. I'm just saying any decision made regarding the traffic on this proposal has got to be blended in with the proposal from that development, because that proposal, those people are going to come down Prospect, Main Street, and take either Parsons or Fairfax towards the interstate. Page 3 also states there are, roughly 80 residential units served by Parsons Avenue, including Parsons Lane, Elizabeth Street, and a portion of Orchard Street. This proposal will increase the number of residential units in the area by 70%. And if only half of the Prospect Hill proposal traffic uses this area, it's another 50% increase. The effect of 120% increase of residential units in this area over just a couple of years is really unacceptable. We're going to get buried in traffic. It's my understanding that the folks here, that the applicants want to have these units for sale and not for rent. That's my understanding. Some of the facts suggest otherwise. The application states the units will be sharing walls, roofs, heating systems, etc. Sharing heat, hot water, and any utilities is suitable for rental units, but not owner-occupied buildings. The main concern is the prospect of having up to 56 rental units in the middle of a neighborhood consisting of single-family dedicated homes on half to 1 acre lots. Rental units at Westview and the Cadillac Motel have had numerous documented problems over the years. These projects also were intended to be owned units, but have turned into rental units. We don't want to see this development sold to another business, government, or non-governmental organization for low-income Section 8 housing. In order to make this more conducive to owner-occupied housing, we like to offer the following. Each unit will have its own heat and hot water heating units. Each unit will have its own meters for gas, electric, and water. I would like to see the applicant agree to only sell units individually and have no individual or entity be allowed to own more than one unit. These are things that will make it more conducive to home ownership as opposed to rental. And I mean, I don't want to get personal here, but I did take a look at what Concordia Holdings is. And they're listed with the Vermont Secretary of State's office as a lessor of residential dwellings and properties.
Can I just clear that up real quick?
Yeah, please.
Most developers,
Yep.
most developers
Yep.
have land holding companies that are then released to an LLC that creates the construction project. I don't know any large developers that don't have land holding companies. It's a pretty standard thing. One company holds the land, another company builds it. It separates liability. And also the community heating, that was for the 10-unit buildings. These 4-unit buildings, they all have their own heating systems and utility closets. I'm pretty sure it shows it on the floor plan.
Again, I don't.
Every unit has a hot water tank and all that stuff.
I didn't. Well, I'm not saying.
We have a property in Fairfax. Well, we had a property in Fairfax that was sold out to everybody. Single family units, and it was one. I think it was a double boiler in case one boiler failed. But they all had shared. It lowers the overall cost of the project for the purchasers.
Just for your information, this is all we got for floor plan.
Is that all you got? I can forward you guys the first and second floor.
I got nothing. And I didn't see it available anywhere in
Yeah,
the
this
things. So.
just came today. On the
Okay,
table,
and that's
but it did not come in our back.
But I'm just saying, I'm not saying that it can't be done, but I'm just saying it would be more conducive to have these things. I know if I was going to be buying a property, I wouldn't want to be responsible for heat if I was going to go away for 2 months during the winter for somebody else's heat and hot water and utilities.
I'd also like to say that doesn't really apply to the site plan application. Again, the purchaser's heating bills on vacation. Just saying.
Okay. Again, the application said there was going to be shared heating, so that's why I addressed it.
I'm actually curious to know where that came from because I didn't write that in the application.
It's there.
Okay.
And that's why I addressed it as.
All right. No, I apologize if there was, spillover from the initial.
It says
but-
shared walls, that's a.
It's shared walls, roofs and heating, et cetera.
Yeah. No, we're gonna have individual units, so I apologize if that was a spillover from the initial application.
The thing to point out here, and you made some very good points, and I appreciate what you had to say. Concordia Holdings was created specifically for this project. This project only falls under Concordia Holdings. What we do with this building when we build it, this land that was purchased, you all had the opportunity to purchase that land if you wanted to dictate how it was going to be built or sold or rented or whatever, but we purchased that land and this is a permitted use. And we're moving forward with that. And that's why we're here for this site plan. It is common knowledge. The biggest problem in Vermont is housing shortage, not traffic control. I think everywhere in Vermont, there's a traffic issue because Vermont's not real forward in the way of dealing with their traffic, but more people come here. To me, having a home to live in is more important than whether I can walk my dog down the street. Streets are made to drive on, and if we need to walk on them, then maybe the town needs to look at sidewalks. But for now, the housing shortage is what we're trying to address.
I have many comments, but I don't want to get,
Well.
we could go back and forth forever.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah, as far as the traffic study, which was brought up again, I think it's flawed based on what I have said. It doesn't address the area. And traffic is a problem.
Just to point out one other thing, just to put him at ease, is, and I'm sure you know, it's very, very standard, especially with ICC. They come out with new ICC editions and they aren't adopted for some time. It gives everybody time to catch up. They don't just come out with a new edition and the next day everybody has to follow the new edition.
Well, it does surprise me that I noticed in the traffic study that they're using 2016 information on some of them streets, which the traffic on there has changed drastically since 2016. So, but whatever. Thank you. Anybody else got something that was not covered that you'd like to speak with?
Yes, my name is Joe Cerisa.
Joe
Live
Cerisa.
at 6 Parsons Lane.
Okay,
Okay, I am a 41-year resident of that piece of housing. And at the time that we purchased that house in 1984, we were told that the property in question could not be developed because it was zoned agricultural and owned by Betty Rourke.
that
We've
is
since
correct.
found out that it has changed. And as an abutting landowner, we were not notified directly that it went from ag to residential. So this is affecting us and it's a life-changing change to our livelihood. The other piece I wanted to just mention quickly, Bob did a wonderful job with the traffic study, and I agree the traffic study is inadequate. They used August 2016 data, so it wasn't something collected as current data. So there's a big issue with that. I scoured that report, and that was one of the big things. They looked at pedestrian walking, but really didn't determine what impact. They just said it was a low impact. So that's the other fact that I wanted to bring forward. The other thing, I think you should look at Wendy Fuller's letter, and that is very thorough and has some very serious concerns in there. The concerns that we have as husband and wife, that is the density. While there has been a 30% decrease in the number of units from 80 to 56, there has been a 75% increase in the number of buildings, going from 8 to 14. Where are the duplexes that were recommended in the previous DRB evaluation?
That was a suggestion made by the DRB, not, wasn't
I'm not sure. Okay. The other thing is the DRB bylaws state that as a board, you are required, I'll say that again, you are required to ensure that new development maintains and complements the character of the surrounding neighborhoods. That's clearly stated in the bylaws. We find that this is very hard to see how this proposed development meets that criteria, given that the surrounding houses are single-family homes. The personal aspect of this is that we both have worked over 40 years to have what we have, and there were previous comments that we were entitled or privileged, and we have earned the house that we have. To talk about the pond, we know that there's deer and in the field. There's the pond trees. I'm not sure if those are going to be cut down or not. Those are old growth trees. Our development was built in 84 to about 86, 87. There's no fences because we have a community there. Okay, So the next topic I would like to have you be aware of is that the wetlands. And we request a review at the appropriate time, which is March, April, when that land is the wettest. Our land is very wet at that same time as well. The study was done in the middle of a drought, and the field has been mowed, and I'm not sure why it was mowed when it was.
He donated that hay to a farmer free of charge. He needed some hay to feed his cows.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, is it still there?
Yeah.
I'm not the farmer, I guess.
Okay. I wanted to know, to give you some history of how wet this property is. In 1992, we put a small addition onto our house. The movement of the water flooded our basement, just putting on an addition. So there is a spring that runs throughout this whole property. And we believe that this new construction will have an immense effect on the flow of the water through this property and to Harbor View. So I think looking at the wetlands and the delineation and when these studies were done is very important, because there is a lot of water on this property. And want to ensure, if it goes forward, that these stormwaters are appropriately sized, and that maybe you need to have a second opinion on how that stormwater design is made.
That would be the design would be his.
After
It'll
we
be
get it
reviewed
approved by the state of Vermont, which is pretty tough.
So it's not.
They are not, they are
You're
not,
that.
yeah, it's not me. It's me submitting an application and paying all outdoors to get it reviewed and approved, and they are not easy to deal with. And we work with them. I call them on a weekly basis. I know everybody over at the state. Been doing this for 27 years. So it's really nothing new. But yeah, I don't want anybody to have any problems. And we design things to the standards that we're required to. And when we get a state permit, we send that state permit to any town that wants a copy of it.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Thank you for listening. I have a copy of my letter, and I will send it electronically.
Okay, why don't you send that to AJ electronic?
Yeah.
Okay. Who else would like to chat?
I haven't gotten an approval. I mean, I haven't, Harbor View was really the last major project that I worked on, but like, if you guys decide you want to make it a condition of approval for state permits, that's pretty nomenclature or normal in every application that I do in other towns. I don't know if that's how you guys do it, but like WW, stormwater, construction general, like we provide all those permits. If you guys want a copy, like that's easy to do.
Oh, yeah.
So just let us know.
It would require that.
My name is Tamara Martel, and I just have a few comments and observations. I want to understand, did I hear you correctly that the wetland survey, in particular the survey directed to the cow pond, was conducted by a subject matter expert who could not walk the land and therefore did it by car? I'm wondering how an assessment could be made.
No, he had a torn Achilles and I took him close as he wanted to. And then we walked very slowly with the wetland ecologist, which honestly is the best thing that could happen, because that way you look at it very closely. Like we walked around the perimeter, and then we were there a long time because of Errol's condition, but we thanked him, and the state lady had never met him. And I mean, everybody's impressed with Errol when you meet him, and I can't emphasize that enough, but it's just because I got a long history with him, but he is the foremost expert. If I had to choose anybody else, I would say Errol would be number one, and that's the way I feel about it. There's a lot of people that got to work with Errol over the years, and he did a lot of work for many people. But in the end, we have to go to the site and look at it with a wetland ecologist from the state, and they have to agree to our delineation. Otherwise, we can't move forward.
Crystal was there also when we did this.
That's correct.
Great, I appreciate that clarification. I think the other thing concerning the wetland is I didn't see on this plan, I only have access to the site plan that was provided today. If you go online to the town of St. Albans, you click on the agenda, there are no links to any of the information provided here today. So all I have to go off of is this site plan. And I'm wondering what are the mitigation infrastructure that you're going to create for the wetland as it slopes down to the adjacent lot that you have a purchase to an option to purchase. That goes directly to Small Brook, which drains into Rug Brook, which is a compromised waterway.
So as right now, I don't know, we don't have any future plans to do any further development. Like we haven't done anything on any other parcel, but what I can tell you is the blue line is the wetland and then the purple or magenta line is the 50-foot buffer. And our intention for this project is not to enter into that 50-foot buffer. So the way this plan is presented, our intention is to not have to get a wetland permit. We're staying 50 feet from the wetland and the 50-foot buffer is being honored. That's why we have it delineated to try to stay away from it.
So just to clarify, your intention is that what we see proposed today is the end of the development within this general area?
Yeah, I mean, we were not, I mean, the way this is laid out, on this parcel, I mean, there's really no other room to put anything else on it. I mean, we're not going to come back and put more units in at a later time if that's what you're asking.
Yes.
I think her concern now is parcel 2, which is not the subject of this meeting.
No, I understand that, but this body should be considering not only the potential impact today, but the potential impacts tomorrow. And I think you're looking at the second parcel, which is adjacent to this, is landlocked. So therefore, if it is developed, if this body approves it, if it's developed in some way, it would use this existing infrastructure. There's no other way for it to outlet except through this space and onto Parsons Avenue. So you're going to have a traffic increase. And I think it's important for this body, again, to consider the impact today and the future impacts of decisions that are made.
You no longer an option on that.
Okay.
We have no interest in that.
That second lot does not go to the road. Does not have road frontage, that second part.
In 2017, we looked at it and there is something off of the cul-de-sac road that we worked on years ago, Elizabeth Street, is that what it's called?
Yeah, that right away has been purchased.
Okay, so I think that's why we didn't pursue it. Plus, I didn't think people would be too excited about us trying to put sewer in their pump station. I'm pretty sure that would have been, I'm not really excited about it.
I appreciate that information. I still have strong concerns about the land to the east that drains, that has a fairly significant grade that goes straight to Small Brook. So that is a consideration I'd like this body to take up. I think the other thing that was mentioned, again, there is a constricted exit where Parsons goes to Route 7. That needs to be addressed by the town, unfortunately, at a cost to taxpayers, or potentially there are some additional fees that could be added for development impact. I think the other thing too is that the landscaping or ortho plan that wasn't presented, but you quickly described, didn't include any screening for the existing homestead. That was clearly a request by the current homeowner during the last meeting. And I just think that lack of thought just indicates an overall lack of good faith in being a good community partner. And I think the other thing is a similar comment during the last presentation was just a lack of detail and thoroughness. My understanding is that you didn't receive any of the floor plans until today. And I'm wondering how that this body can make a thoughtful review of these proposals if you're not receiving information in a timely manner. And also, how can the community be expected to have time to have a thoughtful review of the entire project. My understanding is that these meetings are open to the general public so that we can participate. I don't believe it's a one-sided situation. I hope that's not the case. I hope that, you know, our input is valued. So I'd like to see this body consider that anything, whether it's Concordia or any future developer, that you have to receive information a week prior to the meeting that pertains to that particular project. And actionable links are included with the agenda. The other suggestion I would make to this body is that you should have a presentation. It be placed on the screens so that individuals can follow along. They can see site plans, they can see landscaping plans, they can see traffic plans, and that you also ask those presenting not to use jargon or other phrases that are industry specific. They can be put out in layman's terms so that all involved can participate fully. And I also think too that you can't make thoughtful decisions based on a traffic study that was done more than a decade ago. So thank you.
All right, anybody else?
Correct. I just want to clarify that you did have that via email on the application.
Oh, yeah.
But I did provide a paper copy.
Hi, Mackenzie Olio, 27 Parsons Ave. Just a couple of things. I'll try not to duplicate. First question, the rendering that was provided has a fence shown. It's hard to tell, but I don't think that the fence is noted in the site plans unless I missed it. Or is this the?
Yeah, we won't have fences around every single 4-unit building. I included that in the email when we sent that over there.
Will not.
Will not.
Okay, okay. Just because it's hard to tell when you look at both, like what is it going to look like?
That was like a likeness, and we provided clarification just because that's what
Right.
that's what we said.
So a lot of people can go off of a rendering because people that don't work in this industry, that's definitely something that is easy for people to understand and see. Site plans can be much harder if you don't work in this industry. So that was just one of my questions to clarify. And then do we know the type of fence for the dumpster area? Are we thinking about something that's sightline?
It'll be something that fits with the neighborhood. It's not going to be an enclosed area with bay doors that the driver opens up. Most likely, it will just be post and panels. Yeah, just something where you can't see it, but it'll be tasteful to match with the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a chain link fence that you can look
That's
right
mostly
through
what I was-
with the little green stick. No. Yeah, that we won't have that.
Clarifying question from earlier when we talked about square footage space for the units. So is garage space able to be considered part of your livable square foot space? Okay, that's what I thought. So what is the livable square foot space? Because I thought the 1,200 was including garage.
You look at a lot of different plans, you don't have a plan in front of us right now, but I want to say we're around between 11 and 1,200 living space.
Okay.
So then it may not be including, I guess that does sound right, because that would be a pretty small unit if we included the.
Yeah, I just wanted to double check. I used to live in a 1,200 square foot condo, very similar to these. And so if that included garage space,
Right. No.
that was gonna be really small.
Talking that through now, that does make.
Yeah, because 1,200 is already small.
This garage, this is a 12 by 20, 22 deep, maybe.
Probably a 16.
I mean, I think that detail that you show is 11 by 20.
No, it's 20, he's deep.
Deep is
Deep,
20.
20.
20 deep?
Yeah.
How wide?
You look at our condo.
I think you have it right there. I think it was like 11 by 20.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right on.
9-foot door.
7 by 20, with 9-foot door.
Okay.
What is it?
11 by 20.
11, 20 by 20.
We upped it from 8 feet.
Last meeting, we talked a lot about HOA pieces. That hasn't really come up tonight. Is there a plan with your development proposal to do an HOA that's put in place?
Here's the has been put on hold. I was looking at the attorney the other day to that again, but
Okay.
kind of in its domain right now. This project's not that long.
Understood.
This board is not allowed to review an HOA.
Okay. Can it, is the board allowed to ask for conditional HOA placement, that there is one put in place? Okay. Is the board allowed to ask that there is a rental cap put on the HOA? Okay.
The unit themselves, so we cannot put any sort of regulation on rental rooms.
Okay. Well, then, as just a neighboring homeowner, would love for you guys to just think about that, putting this development in. Because it kind of leads into the next topic of home values and coming from a prior place that we had a 10-unit cap for 84 units in South Burlington. We actually were never full as long as I lived there for about 4 years. So we were about 8 units rented and then 2 were available if people wanted to. But it definitely dramatically changed the way people treat.
Sure.
So just,
And the last time that lending on lenders on for homeowners, they look at that, how many units are rentable, and that really decreases the potential for being able to loan them. So
okay.
that's always something to think about.
We just appreciate that a lot because that really changes the dynamic of livable space and how it is. The other thing I wanted to touch base on was Bob Gissel mentioned earlier that, and I don't have the background for the percentage, but he had mentioned 70% of the kind of surrounding neighborhood area of the type of home. And a big consideration is the likeness and what we're building. And 70% of a change seems really dramatic from going from single family homes and duplexes to now multi-unit housing. So that's a big change in that surrounding neighborhood area. And I just, that number really spoke to me at the 70%. And just thinking about how much it impacts neighboring values. So I think that's mostly my points. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. I won't talk anymore. How about that? I apologize. Anybody else? Use it, Tom.
Hi, I'm Nikki Paquette from Harbor View. And I just have a couple of concerns, and they'll probably reiterate what already has been said, but in a different way. And then I have one question. The question is about the abutment to Harbor View. You know, the
Yeah.
southern
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And I heard Mr. Marchessault say that there's a berm there on Harbor View, and so that shouldn't be a problem.
What I
For
believe
the-
meant was in their excavating, they will build a berm there. And that, from the plans, that berm looks to be only it's like a 5 or 6 foot hump.
Right. Well, there's a berm that was built on Harbor View, and it has failed. It has never worked.
Well,
In fact,
what does it do? I mean, what was the purpose?
oh, well, to hold back the water from
From where?
from the other side, from their side. Yeah, yeah, from this lot.
I don't believe it flows that way, does it? No. Doesn't flow that way.
Um,
I mean, the contours on this plan, I mean, everything flows north. The reason that there's a berm on Harbor View is because I didn't think it was right to let the water flow onto this property. So we built the biggest pond I've ever built in my career down there. And we took all the spoils and created a berm so that it would direct all the water towards the pond, because I thought that was the prudent thing to do.
okay, but that didn't work because
Doesn't work.
every
Water's pooling in your backyards.
every single house along the way is, yeah, it pulls into their house and in a way. So, wondering what these line is, is this a gradient or?
Yeah, we're lowering the grade there because I don't want to have step foundation.
Not sure what the map is indicating.
We're cutting right there to lower the grade so that.
Come up here.
What's this?
Those are the change in elevations. This is the berm that he's talking about, Bill.
Right.
We're gonna lower that grade and create a swale there. But we're backed up to their berm, which honestly, the water can't get across from their property onto ours. Otherwise, we'd be creating even more problems.
Now, there's a berm here.
Preventing the water from going onto their property.
Right.
Well, it's going on.
Now you're gonna have, it's pooling on your property.
Oh, yeah.
It's not coming from this property, but it's pooling on yours.
Right. We're hoping.
So now you're gonna have two berms pooling the water.
Well, actually, from the toe of their berm, we're grading down to lower the grade and then create a swale to pick up a little bit of water
Right.
that, and from the roofs.
In this design, this water from here is gonna go this way, from here is going this way, to get down to these,
Oh, yeah.
these structures.
They thought the water could.
Well,
I hate to ask again, but we really can't hear you speaking.
Well,
I mean,
you need to go out some evening with a shovel and poke a hole in that berm, that'll take care of your problem.
well.
you're gonna have to get a big shovel. Yeah, we specifically do not want people to, I mean, that's a whole different topic, but the water is not supposed to go on other people's property. That's why it's designed the way it was. I mean, we have to direct that water and there is gonna be some pooling against the berm because they're heavy soils. That's the reason the houses are so high. I mean, I could go look at individual backyards, but yeah, I mean, it's heavy soils. So if you don't have a lot of slope, which there's not a lot of transitudinal slope going across that land, there's very little incentive for the water to get towards there, but the houses are up so high that they're gonna have wet backyards against the berm. I mean, that's how it is. I mean, the only way you're gonna do any drainage work for yourself, if you're, you could put in a French drain, there's a bunch of stuff you could do, but it would just speed it up to get to the pond. But the stormwater from your property has to go to the pond, not onto our property. That's how it was designed.
So if you build a berm, you might get flooding on your property.
Well, no, because they're gonna have a swale taking it to.
Yeah,
their-
we're gonna put it's showing to,
Right,
They're gonna do it right, yeah.
yeah,
He's had some practice, now he's gonna do it right.
right. They failed with Harbor View.
I don't.
Okay, so the other two concerns
That's okay.
is that as everyone has said, there's going to be significant traffic concerns, safety concerns because of the influx of 56 new households. And for 3 years, there's going to be heavy construction. And that road, I'll tell you, on my bicycle, it's bumpy. So I don't think it's built for that volume. And there's no sidewalks.
10 years.
So considering it is placing additional strain on the infrastructure. I mean, the poor town, I mean, you guys have to pay for it, right? A new a new road?
Oh, I
That's
think,
scary.
I think you get the chip in, don't you?
Right, right. Charge me on my bicycle. But anyways, and then when it rains, the Harbor View has had a great road, but now with the construction, it's all dug up. I mean, it's pitted so that it looks like an old 20-year-old,
It is almost.
It is
20
20 years old. It was 07 started.
oh, seven, okay. Well, anyways, with the traffic, it does a lot of damage.
I mean, I'm just gonna have to say this, but this has never happened in my career. Al Barlick called up our office and said he decided that he is gonna increase the section to 30 inches of gravel because he wants to. You know how many times that's happened? Never, not one time. He's just gonna put 30 inches because he wants to for the sections that he's building with his boys right now, because he took it over from Bill Fitzgerald. My detail calls for 24 inches of gravel. That's a heck of a road, folks. I don't know what else to tell you. If you build a road with 6-inch underdrain on both sides and you put 24 inches of gravel, and now we're going to put 30, I mean, you can't ask too many people to do much more.
Right, right.
If we can just focus on the application.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I
Sorry,
mean,
just-
I just,
I understand, but if we can just focus on this, thank you.
Right. And that is going to be a great road. But that's the only road that's going to be great. The other part is I asked everyone to consider what's the anticipated benefits of this development for the existing residents? I mean, what do they get out of it?
We're not building for that. We're building for the people that don't.
But the town they live in gets more tax dollars.
But,
It increases your grand list in the town.
okay, so
The chances
the
of that
neighborhood,
lowering your property
but
tax
that's,
is
it's a community. It's a community. We're all gonna have to live together. So, and get along. So just thinking of being neighborly and being considerate and keeping an ongoing communication with the residents before, during, and after construction is key. Okay,
It's very hard to take a great field like this and make it populated when it's been empty for so long. So I understand you're wondering, how does this fit that?
Could you please speak into the microphone?
Well, if you're done, then don't worry about it. I mean,
Pretty much done.
you didn't live in Harbor View back when Harbor View was approved,
No, I didn't.
but when Harbor View was approved, this room looked like this also, because the people in Pleasant View didn't want anybody building on Harbor View.
Oh,
You see, and
how dare they?
yeah, exactly. And that's what happens with every one of these developments. The neighbors don't want to see it.
Yeah. Okay. But they're closer. I
They
mean,
are,
Harbor View is
they
kind
are
of-
closer.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a significant hedgerow growth between Harbor View and this property. And it's not your intent to do much with that. You're gonna leave that there.
Yeah. I mean, the vegetation in the berm is on their property and it's benefiting us I mean, we can do better than what's there. I mean,
But-
even if we started to plant something, it's never going to tower over the berm and the vegetation that's there. Like, it's going to be dwarfed by what's existing.
But it's not your intent when you build your berm to remove that vegetation.
Absolutely not. It's not on our property.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
My name's Steve LaRosa. Just a matter of clarification. Just, is it right? The traffic study was done in 2016?
Parts of the traffic study.
So the
referred
collect,
to-
I'm sorry, I didn't want to
Right,
interrupt
yeah.
you, but the collection of data is, there's permanent traffic counters, and then sometimes you put counters out. But when you have a level of service change, and if you read the entire report, I mean, effectively, it's an insignificant change. That's really what the report says. So you could increase the data, you know, and let's just say it's 10%, but you're such a small percentage of the change that it's effectively going to be a level of service B. And when you talk about level of service like being a few seconds different, it's just insignificant change. I mean, that's the emphasis of the report. The report was it was done by a traffic engineer that's very reputable. And it's a new study based on the data that he collected and the data that's based on the counters that are available. There are permanent traffic counters. I'm not an expert because we don't necessarily do that. Some people put counters out, but there's a variation of, you know, what that data collection is. And some of that data is a little bit dated. So I will talk to Corey about that, but like I said, it's very unlikely that it's going to change from even a B to a C.
So again, you're speaking in jargon that I don't understand.
So level of service is basically how long you're going to be held up at an intersection. That's effectively what it is in layman's terms. So you're going to sit in an intersection, and if you're going to sit 50 seconds, it's a bad level of service. A B indicates, I think it's 20 seconds. Don't quote me on that, but it's a very small number comparatively. And what he's saying in the report is that you will not be held up.
For more than how many seconds?
20 seconds.
Okay.
I think it's actually less than that.
All right, okay.
Seconds to existing level of service.
Okay.
Right.
So when I drive down Fairfax to get on Route 7 and I want to take a right-hand turn at 7 in the morning and I'm waiting there for 2-3 minutes because a lot of people are turning left there to go to the industrial park.
Our cars add an additional 1 to 2
So,
seconds of-
okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
an already little bit of a traffic jam there at certain times of the day is going to be added. You're not, I mean, I'm suggesting the town that's already a problem. That the level of traffic on Fairfax is a mess. Okay, so turning on to Route 7, if you got to make a right-hand turn and there's a couple cars in front of you waiting to turn left, you can wait there quite a while, almost any time of the day, school buses, et cetera. And if this traffic study is that old, why wouldn't you have done one more recently before this project was put forward?
The study is not old.
Okay.
Some of the data they used is, I would say, outdated.
So you've melded old data with newer data? Is that right? Is that typically how it's done then, I guess?
I've talked to the man there. I don't
Yeah.
know anything about.
Well, it would seem if you want to add this many more cars on the road particularly, I would think you'd want to start from scratch.
I don't believe that 2016 traffic data on Fairfax Street is anywhere near close to being accurate.
I have a hard time believing that too. So for what it's worth.
Just for giggles, I'd like to say if we quadruple
Mhm.
the existing cars and quadruple the existing or the estimated added service time, we quadrupled it, it would still only be about 4 to 8 seconds of added service time.
In your opinion?
No, no, I'm just being
Yeah.
theoretical,
Sure.
but in the traffic engineers, not opinion,
Yeah.
his study,
Right.
it's 1 to 2 seconds.
Okay.
But what he's saying is if they were building.
If we were building 200 units,
Yeah.
it would be an
Well,
extra 4 to
maybe-
8 seconds of.
Maybe my faith in that science is less than yours then, I guess.
I mean, I don't,
Well, that's all I'm saying. It just, for someone who drives that road every day and has for 38 years, living on Clyde Island Drive, it's immense. And I can't help but think that this ought to be taken into consideration.
But you see.
Thank you.
You see, the fact that you've been driving that for 38 years, and you used to be able to go down there and drive right out there and not wait for anybody 38 years ago.
No, it's gradual. It's been gradual.
it's been
All
gradual.
I'm just saying, it's just, at what point do we say, maybe we need to keep things
Well,
in check?
I guess that point is when the state says this is unacceptable,
Okay,
you need to do something.
all right. Not up to you then, I gather.
No, it is not.
Okay, yeah, I don't know where the board's,
We can make recommendations,
okay.
but oftentimes the recommendations we make are not triggered by the data that's available to
Right.
us.
Thank you for your time, everyone.
Oh. Did I forget the Zoom meeting? Anybody on Zoom care to comment? Just go ahead and speak up if you want to talk.
I guess I'll start.
Yep.
There, Aubrey Bovat, I'm on Elizabeth. There's been a lot of talk of traffic, so I'm not going to rehash what some people have said, but the increased traffic and safety, we're about a mile and a half from BFA, SATEC, the complex. Kids are going to walk there. We see them walking on occasion, and I'm concerned about safety of additional traffic on those roads. And I'll just kind of leave it at that. Most of what I was going to say has been said, so.
Okay, we appreciate that. Anybody else on Zoom want to chat? No? Okay, anybody out here? Final comments?
I was just curious, been a lot of talk about the traffic study. Did the traffic study?
Corey Mack.
What's the name of his outfit?
You got me there. I'm gonna have to look at it.
I could probably find it, but you can.
Yeah, probably. Probably because I can only see in one eye, but.
Somebody got their traffic study right in front of them. Methods Consulting.
Yep.
Methods Consulting.
Methods?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the guy's name was Corey Mack.
That is correct.
He's got 2-3 initials after his name, consulting transportation engineer. So he must
He's
be-
done a lot of big studies for us, like Berlin Mall and various other things, but, yeah, I don't want to muddy the waters, but he couldn't believe that we were doing a traffic study for this, but, I recognize that I've heard everything that I've heard and we wanted to do it. So exactly. Yeah.
Yes. What do you mean by storage area?
No storage, but they publish
Well, I guess.
Yeah, we were required to, and we basically updated a plan and sent it, I think right around Christmas time. It's on plan sheet 3. It's like a bunch of blue shaded areas. Do you, I don't know if you can put it up on the board. I have no idea, but, oh, okay. I mean, you could, there's a lot of blue areas for snow storage, and realistically, some towns have shied away from it because we're getting a December, January, and February rain, and the rain, there's really, yeah, Vermont's changed a lot. There's no big snowbanks anymore because it rains every January and February now, but we did do it because we're required to, and we did provide it to the town.
Anybody else? Only 8:30.
8:25.
Sure, that's probably.
Close enough.
Anybody else?
What?
Well, then we will conclude this portion of the public meeting. This board will discuss this new information in the session here after everybody's gone. We'll see what happens.
Thank you.
Thank you. I do want to say that it is very, very frustrating